Here. Oh, no, you don't. Not with my crystal. Doesn't even hurt.
Primitive green scale lizard killed. No beast soul gained. Gain 0 to 10 Geno points randomly.
I wonder what other creatures I could transform.
Sen saw an opportunity for an early kill. He didn't understand that the White Wolf Unicorn Beast soul had already been claimed by the legendary Sarah Aaron.
What's your problem? Some kind of... No one is to help this. He hunts alone. Do you understand me?
Earlier that day,
Are you Sen?
How'd you know?
Your friends paid me to show you the ropes on the first day. They must have a lot of money to spend.
Yeah, they do.
And you do not, which is why you are here. That's why a lot of us are here. Let's go. Watch the ridgeline. Keep your head in a swivel.
I'm sorry, I don't know more about God's sanctuary. I just heard that if I did well here, I could earn $4 million in a week.
Well, that's not the way it works. It takes people a long time to make that kind of money.
Yeah, well, I don't have any other options.
All right. What you have to remember, that this is not like your home planet. They discovered God's sanctuary while trying to master teleportation. And here's the interesting thing. Technology does not work here. Guns, bombs, none of it works. First men just hunted to protect themselves from the beasts in God's sanctuary. Without technology, they had to go back to the old ways. Bows, blades, shields, spears. Some prefer arrows. The greatest discovery was not teleportation. The thing that happens when you eat the meat of your kill. You evolve.
Evolve?
If you eat the flesh of your kill, you get faster, you get stronger, can even extend your life.
I like the sound of that.
Be careful, Sen. Some people come here to build themselves up, but others, they're already strong, and they just want more. The most important thing you have to remember, there are no laws here. The rules of your home planet will not protect you here. The weak die, the strong survive. But the clever thrive.
6 months later, Sen wasn't evolved enough to fight copper-toothed panthers. If he wanted to live, he'd have to outrun them.
To survive, my family needs $4 million. And the only way for me to get it was to come to God's sanctuary.
Die, tiger, die! Oh, brother. It's a panther. You don't even know what creature you killed.
Panther, tiger, who cares? You're just jealous of my beast soul.
A beast soul sword.
Come on. Help me take this back to the steel armor shelter.
Fine. But I'm not jealous. It's not even sacred blood.
No one even knows when the last sacred blood beast soul was found. Hunters have been looking for it their entire lives.
If Sen could find a sacred blood beast soul, he could take on those copper-tooths and get the money he needed for his family.
All right, I guess I better get something for my troubles. All right, let's see if you're worth something.
Ordinary beetle killed. No beast soul gained.
Yeah, ordinary beast soul, whatever. Time to level up.
1 ordinary Geno point gained.
With each bite, Sen gained more Geno points.
I can feel it. So slow. At this rate, I'll never reach my first evolution. Huh? Easy. Gotcha, little guy.
Sacred blood beetle killed. Sacred blood beast soul gained.
Sacred blood beast soul? There's no way I'm awake right now. I gotta be dreaming, right? Right? Or did I just get lucky enough to stumble upon a sacred blood beast soul? Probably tastes like what the wealthy eat back home on Roca.
Flesh of sacred blood beetle eaten. 1 sacred geno point gained.
Sacred Geno Point. I like the sound of that.
Sen could feel the Geno points making him stronger. Faster. He couldn't get enough. He wanted to make sure he didn't waste any of it. He needed the sacred blood Geno points to evolve. But then, Sen found something he wasn't expecting.
Is that what I think it is? More copper tooths.
What are you doing? Are you following us?
No, I was just hunting for beetles.
Come out of the shadows!
That's a beast soul dagger.
I said, come out of the shadows.
The great Sarah Aaron didn't really care about this low-level hunter. Until...
Wait. Don't I know you? It's you, isn't it, you little pervert? I thought you knew to be careful around these parts. Don't you remember that I told you if I saw you again, I'd kill you? I could, you know. There are no laws on God's sanctuary. I could order any of my men to kill you and there would be no repercussions. Not even on whatever backwater planet you come from. Do you remember who I am?
You're Sarah Aaron.
Miss Aaron, we're ready to move.
Coming! I'll kill you next time. There's a sacred blood beast nearby and the hunt is on.
Sarah Aaron was leader of the Bullseyes. With legendary fighting skills, she was close to evolving into the second level of God's sanctuary.
See you around.
They likely would have killed me for this crystal. Whatever it does. If it came from a sacred blood beast, it has to be something special. How does something like this end up in a bug?
Hey, looks like back from hunting. Wonder what sort of creature he tried skewering this time.
It's a shame that we let someone like him in.
I don't mind it on the hunt. This is where I miss technology the most.
Sen received Geno points from the beetle's flesh, but he knew he could get more from the shell. But what he was really focused on was the crystal. Sen wondered if the crystal would evolve the lizard. Maybe just one tier of evolution.
Okay, good, you ate it. Nothing? Great. What am I supposed to do with you? I'll deal with you later. Send status report.
Send. Not evolved. Status, none. Estimated lifespan, 200 years. Evolution status, 100 geno points required. Geno points, 86. Sacred blood geno points, 8. Beast souls, 1. Sacred blood golden beetle. Type, armor.
Armor? I wonder what it looks like.
Every sacred blood beast soul gives something different. Some give weapons, but this one gave something else.
Never seen something so gorgeous. It's far more superior than the primitive beast soul armor I used to be jealous of. And it weighs nothing. I can't even feel it. Next here. Oh, no, you don't. Not with my crystal. Doesn't even hurt.
Primitive green scale lizard killed. No beast soul gained. Gain 0 to 10 geno points randomly.
I wonder what other creatures I could transform.
Sen decided to go to his home planet to find out more about the crystal.
Hurry up. I don't got all day to wait for you to stroll through the teleporter. Put a little oomph in it.
Look, I'm going just like everybody else.
Hey, it's... Let me guess. Gotta run back home because nobody here wants to resupply you for your next hunt. I knew it! Oh, am I bothering you? You want me to go on? What's that? A beast soul sword for little...
Sen wished he could use his sacred blood beast soul. But not yet. Soon, Sen thought to himself.
I think it's your turn to teleport. Roka, take me home.
Sen's home planet of Roka was a far cry from the primitive world of God's sanctuary. Coming from poverty, Sen never rode in a skyship or went to a star scraper, but it was still home.
Ye Group President has entered the 4th level of God's Sanctuary.
And I haven't even gotten beyond first level yet.
Speaker of the House killed the demigod Sea Star yesterday, the first to accomplish this feat.
Good for him.
Rykot Galaxy prodigy Lang has extended his lifespan to 300 years using 100 mutant geno points. On the frontier planets, the Shura have attacked once more, resulting in a devastating loss of life.
Finally.
Susanna, I am not trying to bully you. Susanna, stop. You know that you and your kids have been living in a house that is only 1/3 yours. The rest belongs to us.
After Sen's father died, his aunt and uncle showed his mother no respect at all.
Come on, Mom. Stand up to them.
We have been generous enough to allow you and your kids to stay in this house, even though it's not yours.
I just don't think Susanna, you are not listening. We are not trying to cheat you. We've never even asked you to pay rent. We wouldn't want to. We're family.
Sen couldn't stand watching his mother being treated this way.
Come on. You're my ticket away from these people. My whole family depends on you.
This house is now worth more than $3 million. We should jump on the opportunity and sell now.
Susanna, you have two options. If you really want to stay, then just pay us our 2/3. $2 million. And it's all yours.
That isn't a choice at all. You know I don't have that kind of money. And where would we live? Son, what are you doing here? What are you going to do?
What will Sen do next? Will Sen always be alone on God's sanctuary? How will Sen use the sacred beast blood soul he discovered?
Sen hissed. Didn't my father give you more than enough money, even after the Starspan Group swooped in and bought the business? From my understanding, the only reason that you got a good deal is because of my father's work to represent the company. I bet when he died, you and your stupid family were actually happy that he was gone, so you could take his cut of the company, you selfish... Behind him, his mother gently put a hand on his shoulder. It's okay, Sen, I'll handle this. Sen could hear the shake in her voice as she spoke. Despite how cruel her in-laws were being, she was determined to do this her way, with kindness and honesty. As Sen shut himself up, his mother smiled at her in-laws. Sen's right, we don't have the money to pay you back, not with Yara in school and Sen only having just graduated. If they had a few more months, we could settle this matter. How about a cup of tea in the meantime? Turning off his wristcom, Uncle Leroy hissed. Damn it, Suzanne, I don't want any more damn tea. I want what we're owed. Sen could see that the tears brimming in the corner of his mother's eyes had started to cascade down her cheeks. Knowing his relatives, he knew that these people didn't care about the house and only were demanding the house out of spite. Paying these people was the last thing that Sen wanted to do, but he couldn't help but feel eager that he could do it. In the world outside of God's sanctuary, Levo was what ruled the alliance. Money meant freedom, freedom to ignore his relatives, freedom to do whatever he wanted, freedom for his family. Most importantly, it would mean no one could hassle his family for anything. Out of everything, the greatest thing in his life was his mother and sister. There was nothing in this galaxy that Sen wouldn't do for them. If he could, he'd offer his aunt and uncle all of the wealth in the alliance just to take the worry off his mother's shoulders. Doing his best to follow his mother's footsteps, Sen flashed his aunt and uncle a toothy smile. How fast do we need to get the money to you? Brushing the crumbs off his pants, his uncle laughed. You have 1 month, or you'll find yourselves looking for a new place to live. Sen nodded. Then you'll have your money by the end of the month. As his mother led his aunt and uncle to the door, Sen remained in the living room. From the window, Sen watched as his aunt, uncle, and cousin stepped into their brand-new luxury aircraft. If they can afford a vehicle like that, why do they need the house then, too? How can they be so greedy? Gritting his teeth, Sen turned his back to the window. His aunt and uncle would regret ever demanding money from his family. He'd show them that no one can mess with his family and get away with it. Returning to the living room, his mother smiled warmly at Sen as Yara and Henry followed in. How was God's sanctuary? Did you see any interesting beasts in your travels? Sen frowned. Mom, we need to figure out a plan. A month is going to come and go before we know it. You saw how Aunt Patricia and Uncle Leroy were. Sen, they're family. It's like your father would say. Family always looks out for family. But they've never looked out for us, even when Dad was alive, Sen thought as he looked away. Although he loved that she would see the goodness in everyone, there was nothing good about his aunt and uncle. Their only intention here was to see his family in misery. How could there be something positive in that? Looking to break the tension, Henry sighed. I'll talk to my father and see if he can do anything about this. It shouldn't be possible that they can just seize your house like this. Maybe there's some kind of bylaw in the rental agreement? Sen shook his head. Does he think that this lawsuit might actually be something that we should worry about? Knowing Mr. Zhang, he has to have something up his sleeve. With how regarded Henry's father was across the planet, Sen knew just how powerful of an ally Mr. Zhang was. Anytime Reginald spoke to Sen couldn't help but feel Reginald's confidence in him. If he could do anything to prove that he was worthy of Reginald's praise, Sen was going to take it. Eager to cheer up her mother, Yara ran for Suzanne and wrapped her arms around her mother's legs.
It's okay, Mommy. I'm here. I can help.
With a smile, Sen hugged his mother, too. And I'm here as well, although I don't know if you need me when you've got Yara here. Wiping the corners of her eyes, Sen's mother let out a loud laugh. This was just how Sen wanted to see his mom, carefree and laughing. If he could, he'd give anything to make sure she was never without a smile, even if it meant giving his aunt and uncle the house. Henry checked his wristcom. I should be going back home, but I'll make sure to get back to you soon. Nodding, Sen sighed. Thanks, and I'll work on getting the money together. The money would have to come from God's sanctuary. In the Alliance, wealth was inherited, but in a place like God's sanctuary, anyone would have the chance to make their fortune. There, the rich would spend thousands, if not millions, on quality beast souls and meat for Geno points. This was the exact kind of challenge that Sen was eager for, a way to earn money by testing his new equipment. It would also mean having to hunt even stronger beasts than before. While ordinary and primitive creatures weren't worth much on the market, someone could earn quite a fortune collecting mutant creatures. Mutant creatures would be far more deadly, far more intelligent, far more bloodthirsty, but worth the payout if he could bring back quite a few. Playing it safe has never gotten me anywhere, and I need to keep pushing myself forward, Sen thought as he started to prepare for his return trip to God's sanctuary. Gathering some supplies, Sen packed his bag as his mother walked inside with Yara. Where are you off to now? You've only been home a few minutes. Back to God's sanctuary. I just came home to resupply. Suzanne offered Sen a feeble smile. I appreciate you wanting to help, but I'm not sure what you can do. If anything were to happen to you there... You don't have anything to worry about, Mom, Sen thought as he felt the black stone in his hand. I can get us out of this. For a moment, Sen debated telling his mom about the black crystal and its incredible powers to evolve creatures just to get her to stop crying. His aunt and uncle could make all the threats they wanted against him, but no one was going to make his mother cry. However, Sen said nothing about the stone. No matter how much he wanted his mother's tears to dry up, the stone had to stay a secret for their own safety. After seeing what this stone was capable of, Sen knew if the truth got out, far more brutal people than his aunt and uncle would come to collect the stone, possibly endangering his own family. For their own safety, he kept it firmly in his pocket. Giving his mother a kiss on the forehead, Sen offered her a reassuring smile. I promise you that I'll be back as soon as I can. All right, but don't be gone for so long this time. You shouldn't worry your mother like this, his mother said with a sly smile. Don't worry. After I'm done, I'll make sure that our family never has to worry again. For miles, Sen could only see an ocean of grass from his perch on a dead tree. The wind ripped through the grass that was taller than he was, creating an endless pasture as far as the eye could see. The entire plain looked empty and serene, but Sen knew the truth. Somewhere out there lurked dangerous creatures, delighted for a chance to tear Sen to shreds. Sen could hear something rustling from behind him. Some 30 feet away, the grass was jerked and twisted as something massive cut straight across the field. Suddenly, the grass stopped moving and a barbaric shriek ripped across the sea of grass. A lightning mantis! Everyone in Steel Armor Shelter knew better than to try and brave the Zephyr Valley. The tall grass made it impossible for people to see the lightning mantids until their razor-sharp claws were already slicing. Even though they were only primitive creatures, even the greatest warriors knew better than to venture too far into the valley. But to Sen, this valley was the perfect place to help him kick off his experiment with the black crystal. With only an alloy blade in his repertoire, Sen needed prey he could easily capture and bring back to his room in God's shelter. Once he caged it, he could quickly evolve it into a mutant creature and sell its meat for quite a decent price, making him much closer to paying off his family's debt. Summoning his golden beetle armor, Sen stepped into the tall grass. I need to be careful with this armor. It didn't take much to overexert myself when I was chasing down the primitive greenscale lizard. If I do that with a lightning mantis, there's a chance that I might end up on the wrong side of their claws, or even worse, without a lightning mantis to evolve. After his scuffle with the evolved primitive greenscale lizard, Sen was now closer to learning the full extent of his newly acquired strength. Although it was exciting to have these new tools, it also meant he needed to test the limits of his own power. He'd have to be especially careful with his attacks, or he might end up clobbering all the creatures he came across. Slipping through the grass, Sen walked confidently, ready to take on the creature, but to his surprise, the creature found him much faster than he anticipated. A shriek echoed across the plain before the sound of rustling grass charged straight for Sen. Taken back by its speed, Sen leapt back narrowly to avoid the sickle-like claw that slashed through the grass. Now, in the clearing that it created, Sen could get a clear view of the creature. Although it was shaped like any praying mantis he'd seen on his home planet, it clearly was far more deadly than that. With two razor-sharp forceps, the bug creature stood as tall as his waist. It clicked its mandibles as it smelled for its prey, desperate to tear through its prey. Tightly clutching his freshly sharpened alloy blade, Sen rushed into the opening. It's now or never. Seeing the intruder chasing him down, the mantis blindly swatted to keep Sen back. As shreds of grass flew up into the air, Sen narrowly sidestepped the mantis's claws. It's faster than I expected. Since it couldn't see me in the tree, I didn't expect it to be able to find me so quickly. Not wanting to get another chance to strike him, Sen ran in close and stabbed his alloy blade into its thorax. The mantis hissed and roared as it tried to stroke Sen. But Sen was too quick. Easily he missed the mantis's blades and readied himself to ambush the mantis again. As Sen closed in on the creature, the mantis swiped its claws and smashed its claw into the top of Sen's helm. Sen could feel the vibration through his armor. To his delight, it was only the soft sensation of metal vibrating against metal. No matter what the mantis did, it wouldn't be able to hurt him. With a massive grin, Sen too this as his opportunity to strike at his opponent again. But as Sen slashed at the mantis, the beast pulled back and spread out its wings. An angry buzzing sound emitted from its back as it hurled itself into the air. Not wanting to be bothered by this nuisance anymore, the mantis was set on Sen. As it flew out of Sen's range, the mantis turned around before diving, bombing, straight for Sen. It let out a cry as it closed in on Sen. Raising its steel claws, it readied to slash at Sen, but its forceps struck at Sen's arm helplessly, only to find nothing to hit. Its prey was impenetrable. Now, with the mantis in his grasp, Sen plunged his blade into the mantis's soft thorax and dragged the blade upward. In one single shriek, the mantis crumbled as Sen sliced right through it. Green gut spewed out of its body. Primitive lightning mantis killed. No beast soul gained. Sen couldn't help but smile as he shook off the green guts of the lightning mantis. It had been far easier than he had expected to take down such a creature that most of the Steel Armor Sanctuary had all feared. Even compared to his fight against the copper-toothed panther, Sen had come along nice since his battle in the mud. It was like something inside him had been unlocked, like he just needed the final puzzle piece to become unstoppable. Before he could think about his new power for much longer, Sen could hear rustling coming from the grass standing behind him. In the distance, he could hear the cry of another mantis, followed by another, and then another, all eager to get rid of the intruder in their land. Raising his alloy blade, Sen smiled. It looks like I have quite a few enemies to see just what this new power is capable of. Who made this map? I can't make heads or tails of it. Having far less success than Sen, Tobias West stared at his map, trying to make sense of the crudely drawn map that made little sense when entirely surrounded by grass. For the past hour, Tobias had been trampling through the tall grass, praying that he'd find some kind of sign of where he was. Unfortunately for him, the only thing that Tobias found was grass that looked exactly the same as all the other grass. In the distance, Tobias could hear the sound of metal colliding with metal. His face fell. Having gone on a hunting mission in the area a few days before, he was all too familiar with the sounds of mantids fighting. If Sarah Arryn hadn't commanded him to be here, he would have been as far from this valley as possible. Struggling to pull back the tall grass, Tobias let out a long sigh. I know I should be near Zephyr Valley, but I can't make heads or tails with this map. Looking at his map, Tobias couldn't even tell which way he was looking. If only his wristcom worked in God's sanctuary, he would have been able to get out of this area with ease. Having heard the stories of Zephyr Valley, Tobias wanted to spend as little time as he had to. As desperate as he was for Sarah Arryn's approval, getting killed wouldn't prove anything to her. The sound of metal grew louder as Tobias tried to forge ahead. How am I even getting closer? Tobias muttered under his breath as he turned away from the fighting. But before he could take a step forward, a mantis let out a long shriek before erupting out of the grass. Barreling straight for Tobias, the mantis narrowly missed as Tobias dived for the grass. As Tobias peeked out of the grass, he could see the cleanly sliced head of the mantis roll across the ground. What kind of creature did that? A flash of golden light dragged his attention toward a clearing. Curious, Tobias staggered forward only to be surprised by the sight before him. Dressed in golden armor, the man slashed left and right at the lightning mantids with ease. As their claws harmlessly bounced off the golden armor, the mantids let out a horrible hiss. Enraged, the mantids attempted to counter, but the man easily cut through them. Through the tall grass, Tobias watched in amazement. 1720? How many has he so far? Unaware of his audience, Sen beat down yet another mantis. He didn't have time to keep count. A rustle drew his attention to another group of mantids as they flapped their iron wings before plunging after Sen. Effortlessly, Sen planted his sword in between the soft sections of their flesh, easily taking them out. As the herd thinned out, Sen only felt himself getting faster and better at dismantling the mantid. This newfound strength was intoxicating. With every slice, Sen was amazed by the power that rippled through him. It felt like he could do this forever and never slow down. After the alloy blade through a mantis, Sen heard a twig snap behind him. Still racing from the fight, Sen swung his blade, only to find it pointing at a terrified man lurking in the grass. Surprised to see the man, Sen kept his blade pointed. What are you doing here? Horrified to see that he was on the other side of Sen's blade, Tobias threw his hands up in the air. Sorry, I didn't mean to disrupt your hunt. That was incredible. How did you do that? Ignoring Tobias's question, Sen kept his blade raised. Tell me again, what are you doing here? My name is Tobias Weston. I'm here on behalf of Sarah Arryn and the Bullseyes. Ms. Arryn requested that I scout out the area for beast's meat for our group, and this is perfect. Lowering his alloy knife, Sen didn't accept Tobias's handshake. Hearing Sarah Arryn's name made Sen's muscles tense. Having expected to never run into anyone out here, Sen never thought he'd run into one of Sarah's men in Zephyr Valley. Curious of what Tobias was talking about, Sen looked at the slaughter before him. All across the trampled clearing of grass, green bug guts and blood mingled with the destroyed foliage. There wasn't a single living lightning mantis remaining. Sen had slayed the entire herd. While this was an incredible sight for Tobias, Sen couldn't be more disappointed. I got too excited. There isn't a single one that I can bring back with me. Even this meat is going to go to waste since I can't take all of it back with me. There's just too much of it. Following Sen's eyes to the massacre, Tobias offered him a small smile. Since someone can only eat so much beast flesh before it stops giving you Geno points, I would happily take some of it off your hands. Name your price and we'll go from there. Doing a quick count in his head, Sen realized he had slayed 43 mantids. That was far too many for Sen to cook and preserve to sell back at camp, let alone make it worth his time. Normally, rare primitive beast meat might sell for a lot, but it was usually on the seller to pay for the transportation. However, standing before him might be the best thing to make this trip worthwhile. Trying not to show his hand too early, Sen nodded. How about we do 1,000 per head? There's 43 here, but I'm going to give you a discount and call it an even 40,000. Tobias choked. 40,000? Is that too much? I'd be fine. Just like Sen had expected, Tobias wasn't looking at the whole situation, and instead just the deal dangling in front of him. Excited to get such a discount, the young man leapt at the opportunity. I'll pay you 50,000 if I'm the first person you call with whatever meat you find next. A small smile curled out of the corner of Sen's lips. Well, if it's not too much, I'll happily take 50,000 for them. Of course. My family is not only the owner of a major corporation in the Alliance, but they're also aristocrats. Sen's eyes widened. This guy is the son of aristocrats? In the Alliance, special titles were given to those who'd proven successful in God's sanctuary. Those who evolved or earned enough Geno points to go into the next level of God's sanctuary were called distinguished, and those who evolved with enough mutant Geno points were labeled as aristocrats. On the planet side, these people were highly regarded. They often received the finest things that the galaxy could provide, from better corporate positions to mandatory military service placement. Only evolvers who moved on to the second sanctuary with sacred blood Geno points were even higher in society. Immediately, Tobias pulled out his wallet and started pulling out 50,000 in levo. Is cash fine? I can also send it straight to your bank account if you'd prefer. Watching Tobias count the money, Sen's eyes almost bulged out of his head. Even if his parents were aristocrats, I can't believe he has that much money. He's hardly older than me, and he's treating 50,000 level like it's nothing more than pocket change. Handing Sen the money, Tobias let out a snort. Just make sure that I'm the only person you're calling if you have any more beast flesh to sell. And how do I call you? You can reach me at the Steel Armor Shelter in room 1046. So, how do I reach you if I need to find you, Mr. What is your name? My name's... Sen stopped himself. Despite having just made a deal with the man, Sen wasn't sure if he could trust him. After his father's passing, he knew better than anyone not to let secrets slip, especially in a place as lawless as God's sanctuary. Revealing too much about himself might jeopardize his mother or his sister. Now, with control of the conversation, Sen extended his hand. You can just call me Dollar. After all, that's what our arrangement is about. Dollar? Tobias asked as he scratched his head. I don't think I've heard that term used for money except in my history books. You really can't tell me your name or anything? Dollar is all you need to know. I'll reach out if I find anything you'd be interested in. Waving as Dollar walked away, Tobias let out a chuckle. It's nice meeting you, Dollar. Looking forward to working with you again in the future. As Dollar left, Tobias turned to the fallen mantids, and his face immediately fell. Damn it. How am I supposed to bring all of these back with me? Scanning the creek around him, Sen frowned. If I were a big cat, where would I be? Still rushing with adrenaline from his lightning mantis hunt, Sen still needed to capture a primitive creature to evolve with the black crystal. Out of all the beasts that Sen could collect in God's sanctuary, he knew he needed something that wouldn't draw too much attention when he brought it back through camp. It only made sense to return to his old friends, the copper-toothed panthers. The copper-toothed panther was found commonly hunting around the steel armor shelter, and could be kept in a cage within his room. It also allowed him to face his old foe that kept him from multiple successful hunts. From Sen's previous hunts, it seemed he only needed to stumble out of the gate and he'd land into the razor-sharp teeth of the panthers. But now he was struggling to find even one. Gritting his teeth, Sen waded through the creek, searching for any sign of the beast. Looking to the banks of the river, Sen looked for paw prints or fur or maybe even a fang. Having been all too familiar with the panthers, Sen knew they wouldn't wander too far from their dens. His eyes lit up as he spotted tracks that followed the creek's edge. They are close. Very close. The copper-toothed panthers can't be much further now. Far from confident than he was with his first encounter, Sen clutched his alloy dagger as he followed their trail. Compared to his last journey here, Sen effortlessly glided over the mud with his golden armor, hardly sinking into the soft soil underneath. With how easy it was to traverse the landscape, Sen couldn't be more excited to go for a rematch. Just down the stream ahead of him, Sen saw 3 copper-toothed panthers digging into a fresh fish they pulled from the river. In the middle of the three, a panther with a large scabbing neck wound tore at the fish as if it was just a game. Tightening his grip around his alloy blade, Sen smiled. That has to be the one I injured last time. It seems that the wound is healing nicely. One of the copper-toothed panthers pulled away from their fresh kill and turned their attention back toward the water. Its tail flicked in the air as it readied to pounce on another fish, eager to kill again. Clutching his alloy blade, Sen found himself smiling. Aren't they going to be surprised that they're on the other side of the hunt this time? As Sen summoned his golden armor, the golden liquid poured over his skin, covering every inch of him with an impenetrable second skin. Looking over his golden armor, Sen couldn't see a single weakness in its design. The panthers would be lucky if they could even bruise him at all. Not needing to hide in time, Sen approached the panthers head-on. As they watched Sen approach, the panthers got up and licked their lips as they welcomed the intrusion. Breaking into a run, the panther with the mangled neck ran straight for Sen, opening its massive jaw to reveal its razor-sharp teeth. The panther latched onto Sen's shoulder and, clank! Its razor-sharp teeth couldn't even scratch the armor as it tried to gnaw through it. A wicked grin crossed Sen's lips. If the lightning mantids couldn't get through it, there was no way that a copper-toothed panther could. They're not going to be able to stand a chance against me now. With ease, Sen threw the panther off of him, sending it splashing into the reeds. Watching as the panther retreated to the reeds, Sen couldn't help but smile. Before, Sen might have been the one being chased through the reeds, but now, he was the one forcing his foes to retreat. Unlike last time, it felt like something had opened inside Sen. While he always knew he could take on the panthers, it was far easier than before. With his power, the potential from within Sen had been unlocked, allowing him to gather everything he needed to defeat such a foe finally. The second panther charged at Sen. Clamping its massive canines onto Sen's armor, it dangled as it hung onto Sen's arm. It could do nothing to hurt Sen. Sen grabbed the beast by the neck and pushed it to the ground. With his free hand, he raised his alloy blade above his head before bringing it down and, primitive copper-toothed panther killed. No beast soul gained. The body of the panther went limp. Enraged by its dead companion, the third panther hissed at Sen. Desperate to get a hold of its prey, it slashed its fierce claws at Sen, trying to grab him, but, just like its teeth, its claws harmlessly bounced off Sen's armor, leaving not even a dent. Not ready to give up, the panther tried to swipe again, but Sen rolled away from its attack. Sliding around the panther, Sen got behind the panther before it could recover. With one swift pull of his blade, primitive copper-toothed panther killed. Primitive beast soul of copper-toothed panther gained. Sen's eyes widened. Even though I killed over 40 lightning mantis, I never got a beast soul. How lucky do I have to be to get a beast soul after only killing 2 copper-toothed panthers? While everyone aspired to get a beast soul, it was a toss-up if a slayed beast would deliver one. Even the most common beast souls, like from a primitive copper-toothed panther, were still a rare commodity. For warriors to obtain a beast soul, they had to rely only on pure luck of the draw. Eager to see his new weapon, Sen summoned the primitive copper-toothed beast soul. Stretching out his hand as it suddenly appeared, a bronze shadow emerged into a staff with a crescent spearhead at the tip of it. Like the bronze fangs of the creature, Sen couldn't help but admire his new staff. I couldn't have gotten a better beast soul, Sen thought as he tested the lightness of the spear in his hand. From the reeds, Sen could hear a low, deep growl. The first panther was still alive and furious. I can't forget what I came here for, Sen thought as he raised his spear. I have to get a panther to bring back with me to evolve. A blood-chilling roar erupted from the edge of the creek as the panther with the neck wound leapt out of the reeds. Seeking revenge for its fallen pack, the panther leapt for Sen, aiming for his head. Effortlessly, Sen raised his spear to block the attack. Keeping the creature at bay, the panther tried to push against Sen's spear. It snapped and spat at Sen, but remained no closer to his face. With hardly any power, Sen pushed the panther back and hurled it toward a boulder. The panther slammed its head against the rock and went limp. For a moment, Sen wondered if he killed the creature, but seeing the heavy movements of the creature's chest, Sen knew it was just stunned. Wasting no time, Sen hurried to hogtie this creature. As it regained its senses, the panther tried to snap at Sen, but he quickly muzzled its jaws. "That's enough now. You're going to come with me." The panther let out a muffled hiss as it angrily glared at Sen. Fully aware that the creature would easily kill him if it got out, Sen made sure to tightly bind the knots around the creature, preventing it from running. With the panther tied up, Sen couldn't be happier. Not only did he defeat his old foe, but Sen now had the creature that would put him one step closer to paying off his debt. If he could evolve the panther into a mutant creature, Sen could easily gain the funds to buy his aunt and uncle's shares of his family home. Eager to return to feed the crystal to the beast, Sen threw the panther over his shoulder and set off for his shelter. As he approached the steel armor shelter, he unsummoned his armor, not wanting anyone to see him wearing. Knowing that it would only bring him further trouble, Sen wanted to make sure that no one knew the true extent of his power. However, as he approached the steel armor shelter, he was surprised to find it bustling. A gang of about a dozen warriors wandered at the front gate of the shelter, each on top of a beast soul mount. Each of the warriors wore shaggy armor and were equipped with spears and lances, specifically designed to take down a gigantic beast. In the front of the pack was a tower of a man who loomed over a timid hunter who carried bags of dried beast meat, Sen thought as he shuffled forward. What is Son of Heaven doing here? If Sarah Arin was the queen of God's sanctuary, Son of Heaven was the king. As a leader of one of the most fearsome gangs in the region, Son of Heaven was one of the strongest in all of God's sanctuary. He also was one of the biggest bullies who pushed and prodded anyone that was weaker than him, twisting them into submission to get just what he wanted. Sitting on top of a mount that looked like a triceratops, Son of Heaven was barking at a timid warrior carrying a pile of cooked animal meat. "I don't know about you, but I think that our friend here might have a bit too much meat on his hands. We don't want anyone to get too greedy, do we, men?" Behind him, his men chuckled as they pulled the reins of their beasts. Terrified by the brute before him, the man cowered. "I'm sorry, Mr. Son of Heaven, but I've been ordered to drop this off at the Bullseye's camp." Beside Son of Heaven, a man on the wildebeest mount snapped his whip at the cowering warrior. Sen recognized the man as Jack Ballard, Son of Heaven's right-hand man. Always eager to do the malicious work of his boss, Jack was just as bloodthirsty, if not more, than Son of Heaven. Most of the time, Sen saw in the steel armor shelter tormenting the newest recruits for Son of Heaven's gang. With a cold smile, Jack let out a snort. "Oh, are you hogging all of the meat? It's awfully rude of you, don't you think?" The man recoiled from Jack. "I'm sorry, sir, but Sarah Ahrens ordered me to—"
"Do you think we care? Hand it over."
With a snarl, Son of Heaven put his hand up. "Shut up, Jack. This is for Sarah." Sen almost wanted to laugh. Everyone in the shelter knew that Son of Heaven was madly in love with Sarah Ahren. Although Sarah refuted his advancements, Son of Heaven was obsessed with trying to prove himself to her. From what Sen had heard, Son of Heaven had tried almost everything to get her attention, except for outright proposing to her. Knowing that his boss would be weak to Sarah, Jack continued to try and push for the meat.
"It's not like Sarah's going to notice if one or two of them are missing."
Son of Heaven smacked Jack on the back of the head. "Use your head, you moron. We're better off having someone like Sarah working with us than against us." Out of all the people to anger at the steel armor shelter, Sarah was one of the last people anyone wanted to upset. Not only did she have plenty of power in the shelter, but she had quite the name for herself outside of the shelter. As a soldier for the Alliance, people knew all about her deeds through the military. And with Son of Heaven's crush on Sarah Ahren, Sen knew it was best to be far out of his wrath. Taking their argument as his chance to slip forward, Sen tried to push past Son of Heaven and his crew. But as he slipped past, Sen felt the sting of Jack's steel whip as it stung his skin. Dropping the panther, Sen touched his broken skin as he turned to face Jack, Son of Heaven, and his entire gang all glaring at him. With a cruel smile on his face, Jack chuckled.
"It seems someone didn't want to stop and say hello."
Son of Heaven let out a snarl as he looked at the panther on Sen's shoulders. Who sold you that beast? The metal whip curled, smoking as Jack, the right-hand man of the Son of Heaven, stared down at Sen with murderous intent.
Answer my boss, Worm. Who sold you that beast soul?
Placing a hand on his freshly stinging skin, Sen glared at Jack. No one. I captured it myself. With a flash of his teeth, the shelter's dictator, Son of Heaven, snarled as he pulled the reins of his Triceratops beastman. The day I'd believe that can capture a beast on his own is the day that hell freezes over. Gritting his teeth, Sen stared at Son of Heaven. Then I guess hell's freezing over? Son of Heaven kicked Sen straight in the chest. Not wanting to let Son of Heaven catch on to his newfound power, Sen stumbled back as he feigned surprise. As he dropped the copper-toothed panther to sell the performance, the big cat hissed and spat as it hit the dirt. Like Sen, it also didn't appreciate being jumped onto the ground. Sliding off his Triceratops mount, Son of Heaven summoned his signature weapon, a sacred blood-red flaming sword. Looking at the malicious, flickering flames that soared out of its hilt, Sen had seen just what that infamous blade was capable of. Sharp enough to cut through a mutant beast, the sword could incinerate its victims before they even knew what happened. Instead of focusing on Sen, Son of Heaven placed his sword against the copper-toothed panther, letting the flaming blade hover above the bonded creature. Desperate to escape the heat, the panther snarled and wiggled as it tried to break free of its bonds. Seeing the struggling beast, Son of Heaven let out a cruel chuckle. Ha ha! It is a pitiful creature. Maybe it is worthy of capturing something so weak. Behind Son of Heaven, the pack of goons laughed out loud. Even though Sen had never wronged Son of Heaven, the title of was well known throughout the shelter. When Sarah Arryn declared him an enemy of hers after behind, it made him shunned by the entire shelter, regardless of what gang they came from. Reaching for the panther, Sen tried not to further provoke Son of Heaven. You're right, I got lucky with this one, so if you don't mind, I'd like to take it back with me. Jack cracked his steel whip again, striking Sen's hand before he could touch the bounded creature. Hissing from the sting of the pain, Sen waved his hand as he looked at the thrilled Jack. With a devilish smile, Jack cackled,
Don't waste your time with this primitive buffoon. Why don't we just kill him for good? I bet getting rid of him would do the whole shelter a service.
Son of Heaven looked at Sen for a moment. Sen could see a flicker of fire as the brute debated on what to do with the before him. Out of everything in God's sanctuary, an easy target like the one before him was his favorite type of game. While beasts offered incredible rewards, squishing insignificant worms like Sen was what Son of Heaven did for fun in this lawless land. There was nothing more that Sen wanted to do than summon his golden armor and take a swing at Son of Heaven. However, he knew better than to strike the brute before him. While Sen was finally getting closer to understanding his true potential, Son of Heaven had months and years ahead of him. From what Sen had heard from the rumors, the warmongering was close to completing his sacred blood evolution. Unfortunately for Sen, enduring Son of Heaven's harassment was part of the game in God's sanctuary. Only the strongest can survive, and if I'm going to surpass Son of Heaven, I can't reveal all my cards just yet, Sen thought as he kept an eye on the flaming sword. If he were ever to find out that I have the black crystal, he'd be devising ways to get rid of me permanently. For now, I can't show that I'm a threat. After a long beat of contemplation, the smashed the butt of his sword down on Sen's hand. Just be thankful I'm letting you live today. However, if I hear that someone sold you that beast, despite Sarah Arryn's command, I'll personally cut you in half and stitch you to the shelter. Understood? Beside him, Jack snarled.
You're letting him go? That's ridiculous. This guy doesn't deserve your mercy.
Waving his hand, Son of Heaven climbed back onto his Triceratops mount. Didn't I tell you to keep quiet, Ballard? You know Sarah doesn't like others intervening with her business. As of now, the only person who deserves to decide his fate is Ms. Arryn.
But, sir...
I said shut up, Ballard. We've already wasted enough time here. If we're going to get to Sunset Slope before Deadly Fist, we need to go now. Let's not let this freak disrupt our hunt any more. As Son of Heaven kicked his mount forward, his troops followed, all glaring at Sen as they passed. Following the group from behind on his wildebeest mount, Jack snarled before spitting at Sen.
You're lucky that the boss spared your life. Someday you'll get what you deserve, and I'll make sure I'm on the other side of the blade.
When Son of Heaven's men were far enough away, Sen got up off the ground and brushed the dirt off his pants. While Sen was eager to try his hand against a brute like Son of Heaven, he knew better than to pick one too soon. Even if he was growing more powerful by the day, it would still be some time before he could actually take on Son of Heaven in a fight. Until then, Sen needed to stay low. Picking up the panther, Sen let out a sigh.
I really hope whatever beast they're hunting escapes. I don't think I've ever seen someone who is less deserving of their power.
Not interested in another scuffle, Sen headed straight to his room, stopping for nothing except to gather a new cage for the copper-toothed panther. After the primitive green-scale lizard had broken out of his cage, Sen made sure to find something even sturdier that couldn't easily be broken out of. After all, if this experiment with the copper-toothed panther worked out, he'd need to make sure that the cage could handle an even more powerful beast that he had planned on evolving. Now back in his room, the panther let out a muffled roar as Sen pushed it inside the cage.
Just work with me here. In 2 seconds you can hate me as much as you want.
Not interested in helping its captive, Sen struggled to place the dead weight into the cage. Once Sen could close the cage door behind the creature, he cut its bonds, freeing it from its shackles. Glaring at Sen through the bars, the panther licked its lips as if it was dreaming about devouring Sen. Reaching into his pocket, Sen pulled out the black crystal.
All right, if you just eat this, that'll be the last thing I need from you.
As soon as Sen placed the crystal in front of the beast, the panther licked it up as if it were a delicacy.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Now let's get this show on the road.
Unfortunately for Sen, that show wasn't moving very fast. Unlike his first experiment, the copper-toothed panther showed no signs of evolvement, no matter how long Sen waited for the creature to evolve. For hours he sat there staring at the cage as if he expected the panther to transform in the blink of an eye. Instead, the panther simply looked at him, licking its maw as it imagined just how tasty of a meal Sen would be. After 4 hours, Sen decided to hunt as he waited for the creature to evolve.
This isn't like evolving an ordinary green-scale lizard. Evolving a primitive creature into a mutant one is going to take a lot longer than I would like.
But Sen didn't want to wait. Evolving using only primitive genopoints was possible, but Sen wanted more. If he was going to be the strongest in God's sanctuary, he needed to evolve with not only 100 mutant genopoints, but also 100 sacred blood genopoints. The sooner he could evolve a creature, the closer he'd be to becoming an evolver and to becoming the strongest warrior in God's sanctuary. It meant that Sen would have an even easier time knocking the smug grin off of Son of Heaven and his right-hand man. Seeing that he wouldn't get any mutant genopoints today, Sen prepared his bag to go on another hunt in God's sanctuary once again.
I need to put everything I can into hunting for more genopoints and more beast souls. If I'm going to show up Son of Heaven someday, I need a whole arsenal of tools at my disposal.
But as he exited the room and stepped into the plaza, Sen found a creeping sense that something was off. To his surprise, as he looked around, he found that there wasn't a single person out in the plaza. The normally bustling center sat empty as vendors and homes all remained closed to the public. Normally for Sen, this would have been his dream. Most often he preferred to be left alone by people and enjoyed his alone time. But this time, Sen couldn't help but feel frustrated. If everyone was gone, something must be happening. Something that Sen didn't know about. Information was key to this land, meaning those who weren't in the know were left behind in the dust. And that's why he had to be smarter, craftier, and quicker than everyone else to get ahead.
Where is everyone? Sen wondered. Did something pull them away?
In the midst of the silence, Sen was surprised to hear the bang of a door, followed by the sound of someone shuffling their feet. Turning around the corner, Tobias hurried for the main gate as he struggled to carry an alloy bow and shield in his hand. Muttering to himself, Tobias kept his head down, unaware of anyone else in the shelter. Sarah Aron's going to be furious. It took way longer to bring back that primitive lightning mantis meat than I expected. I can't believe I didn't think about transportation before I made that deal with Dola. Hey, hold up, can I ask you something? Sen asked as he jogged over to Tobias. Immediately, Tobias recoiled as he looked at Sen. Unaware that it was the great dollar standing before him, Tobias only recognized Sen as the town pariah who his interacting with could spell social suicide. Trying not to ruin his chances in the steel armor shelter, Tobias hurried even faster for the gate. With his strength from his newly acquired Geno points, Sen had no problem catching up with Tobias. Did you hear me? I wanted to talk to you for a moment. Don't worry, it's just the two of us. No one is going to see you talking to... Looking around, Tobias saw that Sen was right. The entire plaza was completely empty. With no one else watching, he decided it was safe to speak. I'm sorry, but I'm in a big rush. I can't really stop to talk. Sen shook his head. I just want to know where everyone is. Just where is everyone? Seriously? Have you been living under a rock as, Tobias stopped himself. While he knew of Sen's cruel nickname, he knew Sen probably wouldn't appreciate it coming out of his mouth. Sen shook his head. You'll have to forgive me. It's hard to get information as... Tobias blushed. Yeah, sorry. But they're all at a battle. Someone found a sacred blood creature close to the steel armor shelter, and all of the major gangs have been grouped up at Sunset Slope to take it down. A sacred blood creature? Sen asked, his mind racing as he wondered how long it would take him to get to the mountain. If there really was a sacred blood creature, that's surely where Son of Heaven and his men were off to. A sacred blood creature that required the entire shelter to bring it down meant it was worth hunting. If Son of Heaven and his gang were heading there, it would be something certainly worth stealing, and that's precisely what Sen would do. You seriously didn't know? The entire shelter's been battling the sacred blood creature since early this morning. Since the creature's been found, it's the only thing anyone's been able to talk about, Tobias said as his eyes darted around the empty steel armor shelter, making sure no one was listening. Thrilled by the idea that there was a sacred blood creature, Sen pressed Tobias for more. You can't just leave me with that. What kind of creature is it? How big is it? It has to be something exceptional if everyone in the entire shelter was after it. Nervous, Tobias looked both ways to make sure that no one was listening. Even if Tobias was more trusting than others in God's sanctuary, he still didn't want to be caught talking to. If only he knew that he didn't want to be seen with was also Dollar, the golden knight who had sold him 50,000 level worth of lightning mantids. Once he confirmed that they were alone, Tobias's shoulders slumped. Sarah Aron, Son of Heaven, and Deadly Fist told everyone to join them in the fight. That's where I'm actually heading now, to join Sarah Aron and the rest of the Bullseyes. Sen's eyes lit up. If the three largest gangs of the Steel Armor Shelter were hunting a sacred blood creature, it had to be something incredible. Looking at the spear and shield in Tobias's hand, a small smile slipped out of the corner of Sen's lips. So if you're on your way to the fight, I take it that none of the gangs have been successful? With a sigh, Tobias shook his head. From what I heard, it's proven too much for just one of them to take down. Instead of fighting separately, the three of them had decided to work together to bring the beast down. Even with the smaller gangs and the lone warriors decided to join the fight. You don't say, Sen said, his heart racing as he heard more about the creature. Look, I got to go join the hunt. Enjoy the quiet while it lasts. Watching as Tobias trailed off with his shield and spear, Sen knew no one in the shelter expected him to join the fight. More rather, no one would be expecting to even bother with his presence in such an important battle. If anything, they would probably prefer that he didn't come at all. Knowing his presence wouldn't be missed, Sen smiled. Since they don't want to join, I might as well introduce everyone to Dollar. Eager to try his hand against a sacred blood beast, Sen set out for the Sunset Slope. The moment that Sen was far enough from the steel armor sanctuary, he summoned his sacred blood golden armor. If he wanted to get there to get a chance at the sacred blood beast, he had to use every advantage he had. If anyone is going to slay the beast, it has to be me, Sen thought as he pumped his arms forward, racing for Sunset Slope. After an hour of running, Sen found himself climbing up the mountain to the sounds of men clashing with the beast. The anguished cries of dying men mixed with the bleats of a furious beast rang across the cliffside, emboldening Sen to move even faster. Not wanting to be seen before he could strike, Sen stuck close to the mountainside, trying to remain hidden. But as he drew closer, the roars of the furious beast made Sen's heart pound. Just what kind of creature do I have the pleasure of looking forward to? As Sen reached the top of the hill, a horrific, bloody battle awaited him. All across the mountain, the ground was torn up by hooves and feet of beast soul mounts, and dozens of bodies of fallen warriors plagued the mountainside. Those who were still standing advanced up the mountain with their shield drawn toward the most horrific creature Sen had seen in God's sanctuary. With the head of a cow, the torso of a human, and the legs of a horse, the sacred blood beast let out a bone-chilling roar as it swung its golden-edged axe. The warriors attempted to charge up the mountain, but the beast easily smashed their line of defense with a single swing from its axe. Not interested in sharing its position, the beast slammed its hooves down, sending those fighting flying back down the mountain. Taken back by the beast, Sen couldn't believe the power it had. He needed to be patient and wait for the right moment to steal the final blow. The lack of a beast soul weapon meant that Sen had to rely on others to weaken the creature first, before he could make his move. At the base of the mountain, Sen could hear an all-too-familiar voice roar across the mountain. "Charge!" Son of Heaven screamed as he pointed his flaming sword at the beast. Spurring his Triceratops mount forward, Son of Heaven rushed the creature with his flaming sword drawn. Warriors scrambled out of his way as he cared not for who he ran over, as he pressed forward to pierce his prey. With a clear way before him, Son of Heaven, enraged to see his opponent, would attack it head-on. The Minotaur dug its hooves into the ground and bared its horns. Son of Heaven's blade clashed with its horns, sending sparks into the air. Before the enraged beast could swipe at Son of Heaven again, Son of Heaven spurred his sacred blood mount and hurried to reposition itself for another attack. Over and over, Sen watched as the shieldmen slowed the sacred blood beast as Son of Heaven pushed the beast back. With the only buffer between the warriors and the beast's axe, Son of Heaven had the most important role in the battlefield. Keep the beast centered on the top of the hill. Sen hated to admit it, but even he was impressed. How does Son of Heaven have the power to take on a sacred blood beast? If I have any chances at swiping its beast soul for myself, I'll have to wait until they weaken it even more. Again, Son of Heaven raised his sword. Charge! As his Triceratops stampeded for the enraged sacred blood beast, Son of Heaven dodged its axe once again. Unfortunately for Son of Heaven, the beast had become familiar with his battle tactics. The beast roared as it swung its golden axe down onto Son of Heaven's Triceratops. Not having expected an attack there, Son of Heaven had no time to pull his mount away from the attack before the axe cut through the mount. As the golden axe collided with the beast, it cried out before its knees buckled. Surprised to lose his mount, Son of Heaven leapt off his sacred blood mount and watched as it crumbled to the ground, disappearing into a fine golden dust that dissolved into the wind. Now the only thing keeping the sacred blood creature back had been killed. Sen's eyes widened. In one hit, it took down Son of Heaven's sacred blood beast mount. Whatever beast soul this sacred blood creature drops, it has to be powerful. With nothing to stop it from fleeing, the beast swung its axe, knocking dozens of warriors off the cliff. Trying to push down the hill toward the fighters waiting to advance, the beast stormed forward. Before it could get too far, a volley of arrows came soaring from the sky.
"Keep firing!"
Sarah Arryn shouted as she directed the line archers at the base of the hill.
"Help the warriors on the hill retreat!"
Watching Sarah Arryn, Sen found himself stunned. While her leadership was known across the shelter, he hadn't seen it in person before. With clear control over her shoulders, Sarah directed the battle without hesitation. Despite the chaos, it was like she could see through it all. As the living men sprinted down the hill, Sarah waved her arm back.
Now fall back. Retreat to get a better position.
However, as she cried out for the men to regroup, Son of Heaven snarled. Retreat? That killed my mount. This is the time to push back harder. Sarah shook her head.
Fall back, Son of Heaven. We need to regroup.
But as she cried out, Son of Heaven shouted for his warriors. Come with me and find glory. Confused about who to follow, warriors clashed as they attempted to go up the hill after Son of Heaven and down the hill toward Sarah Aren. Lowering their weapons and raising to attack, the warriors tried to push past the retreating and advancing troops, with no idea who to follow. Quickly, arguments between the soldiers started to rise as people grew increasingly agitated. Even Deadly Fist, the leader of the Fingers, was bewildered with how to direct his men. Sarah, what the hell is this? Where do I direct my squad? Sarah simply shook her head.
Son of Heaven's done it again. He's going to get us all killed.
While the chaos was sickening to those on the battlefield, it couldn't be more perfect for Sen. Now with the opportunity to sneak toward the sacred blood beast, Sen carefully approached the hill that the beast dominated. If no one could see him before he was there, he'd have the perfect opportunity to sneak in the last blow. Keeping an eye on the clashing battlefield, Sen started to advance forward. We just need to get as close as possible. If I can swipe the final shot in the last second, it'll be worth it. Desperate to get a hold of the chaos, Sarah decided to follow Son of Heaven's lead.
Raise your arrows and provide them with cover. On my signal, fire!
Now working together, Sarah's warriors launched a volley of arrows into the sacred blood beast, providing some cover to the charging men. Enraged that its attackers had returned, the beast reared its front legs. Not wanting to deal with the nuance any further, the beast turned its back to the fight and attempted to flee. As it tried to escape, Son of Heaven snarled and unsummoned his fiery sword. No, you don't. I won't let you get away this time. In his hand, 2 green wings emerged and extended out until they curved into an iron bow that was almost half the size of Son of Heaven. In his opposite hand, a red hornet appeared before it transformed into a thin arrowhead that looked like a stinger. Seeing the red arrow in Son of Heaven's hand, Sarah waved her arms to stop him.
Now, you idiot. You only have one chance to get it right with that arrow. Pull back and we can come up with a plan.
The sacred blood wasp arrow flew out of Son of Heaven's hand like a red bolt of lightning. Thunder shook the mountainside as a red bolt of electricity collided with the sacred blood beast. The arrow had hit its target. Confused by the sudden pain in its chest, the beast stumbled backward. Before it knew it, the beast crumbled forward, its head hanging low. The beast had been defeated. All across the battlefield, warriors cheered on Son of Heaven's name. That was amazing, Son of Heaven.
This is why you're the king of the steel armor shelter.
Let's hear it for Son of Heaven. Drunk from their praise, the battlefield's champion puffed out his chest. Oh, you should see the other beasts I fought. That was nothing. Watching as Son of Heaven boasted to the people, Sarah scowled.
Why is it always a production with him?
Standing at her side, Tobias immediately agreed with his commander. Production, Ms. Aren. That was a group effort, and you were particularly a star.
I don't need you bragging for me, Tobias.
Of course not, ma'am, but I meant every word of it. Focused on Son of Heaven's infatuation with his own cheers, not one of the warriors in the crowd realized that someone was lurking, waiting for an opening. As everyone cheered on Son of Heaven, Sen kept an eye on the beast. From the heavy breathing, Sen could see that the sacred blood creature was still alive, but barely. One well-placed shot would easily kill the beast. Preoccupied with the cheering section, Son of Heaven turned his back to the wounded beast, leaving the sacred blood beast open for anyone to take. This is it. This is the moment. Clinging tightly onto his alloy blade, Sen readied himself. I've only got one chance at this, and I had better make sure I do it right. Unaware of the slippery thief, Son of Heaven looked to the crowd as he waved to his adoring fans. This really wasn't the hardest thing I've ever fought. If you just saw him up against the... A golden streak flashed before his eyes. Making his move with the distracted Son of Heaven, Sen sped out of his hiding spot, straight for the beast. With his primitive spear in hand, Sen stabbed through the opening in the beast's chest. In one final motion, the beast raised its head before falling completely limp. Sacred blood, bloody slayer killed. Sacred blood beast soul gained. For a moment, the battlefield was quiet as everyone tried to understand what just happened. Even Sen was taken aback by the rush of the kill. Never had he thought he could take such a beast soul right underneath Son of Heaven's nose. It felt almost too good to be true. In the hush of the moment, Tobias's eyes widened as he shouted, "Is that Dollar?" Son of Heaven's eyes darted toward Tobias. "Who the hell is Dollar, and why the hell did he steal my sacred blood beast soul?"
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.